problem that is there with the particular systems, with particular process? What's the problem that is there? That we need to identify the first. Here on the screen, you could able to see that the basic things which are used in making up of a process to be a machine learned. There are 7 type of categorization process that need to be followed interlinked. That is, one after the other, we have to make the data to be stipulated. The first thing is you have to make the defining of the objectives. Then we have to gather the data. Then we need to prepare the data, and we need to data exploration. Then followed by we need to building a particular sort of model, followed by evaluation of the particular model, and we need to find out the result, the expected outcomes, or we could able to say it as the predictives or the future outcomes. By these predictions only, we could able to find out how much efficacy that you are able to get with the help of machine learning when compared to manual learning process. Here, let me explain you in detail that how the steps are going to be involved. How could we able to formulate a machine learning process could be able to be explained with a simple example. As I said earlier, in machine learning process, the first step that we need to make is we need to define the objective of the problem. That we need to find out a problem. For that problem, we have to sort out the solution. The first thing is you have to formulate the problem. That is, you need to identify the problem that was existing or that is prevailing with a particular sort of system or a particular type of process or a particular type of mechanism. The first thing is you have to identify the objectives of the problem. That is, why we are going to identify the particular objectives of the problem is what we are trying to predict and what sort of parameters that you are going to predict that we could able to estimate there, and what are the target features that we could able to estimate there, and what sort of input data that we can able to give, and what kind of problem that you are facing, and what sort of classification that you can able to use, and what sort of clustering mechanism or the regression mechanism that you could able to make in your particular machine learning process could be able to be formulated, be able to be stated with the help of a particular.
Excuse me, Lakshwarati. Can you increase the percentage of the screen? So actually the content is not clear. Somewhat blurring.
Sure.
Yeah. It's better to go for 100.
Yes, sir. What about now, sir?
Now go for full screen. Go to the slide.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Is it okay?
Okay. So still somewhat blurring. Okay, no problem.
Okay, sir. I extended it to around 110. Okay. All right,
yeah, some of the student asking go a little bit slow.
Okay, sir. Right. Sir.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Okay, fine. Right. See here. This is the basic important steps that you need to understand while you are making the utilization of the machine learning. That is, whenever you are going to utilize a system to be a machine made, a particular process to be machine made, then we need to go for utilization of a 7-step procedure that we could able to say it as a machine learning process. Here, at the first step, as in the first step of machine learning, here first we need to identify the problem. That is, what sort of problem is prevailing. For example, I need to predict the possibility of rain by studying the weather conditions. That is, I need to forecast the utilization of the rain. That is, at what particular state, at what particular time, at what particular environment that you could able to estimate the rainfall. That estimation that you could able to predict with the help of this particular machine learning algorithm. For that, first we need to estimate the problem. That is, we need to identify the problem. Here I am considering one problem is the estimation of the rainfall depending upon the weather conditions. Depending upon the weather conditions, we need to estimate the amount of rainfall, the possibility of the rain that we are going to estimate. That we are saying it as a problem. That we are considering it as a problem here. At the second step, we need to gather the data. Our problem is the estimation of the rainfall, or we are going to possibility of the rainfall. That's our problem. The second thing is we need to gather the data. We need to gather the data. For the data gathering, we must meet some parameters to be used. For example, in order to estimate the rainfall is concerned, we could able to go for utilization of the weather conditions, like we could able to measure the humidity parameters, or we could able to measure the temperature, we could able to measure the pressure, or we could able to take the data which is going to be collected manually, or which could able to be scrapped from the web, that these parameters could be able to correlate with your particular problem statement, so that we could able to get the data. The first step is we need to identify the problem. After identifying the problem, we need to gather the data. What sort of data that we need to gather? We need to gather the data based upon the utilities of that particular problem. That is, how that data could be used for making solution of that particular problem has to be identified, and that particular data is going to be gathered. That's the second step. And at the third step, we need to prepare the data. Here you can able to get the confusion. Sir, we have gathered the data, and what's the need for preparing the data? As we are having the data to be gathered, then what's the need for further data preparing or data processing? This is the crucial step. Basically, the machine learning processes, the gathering of the data and preparing of the data takes about the 60% of the efficiency of the system, while the model and the other features could able to take about the 40%. Basically, I could able to say that the data gathering and preparing the data is a difficult task. Why? In the sense, I will explain you later. Okay, right. See here, the first step is we could able to formulate the problem, and we could able to find out the data. And in the third step, we need to prepare the data. That data preparing could be used. Why the data has to be prepared? In the sense, we have to clean up the data. That is, there may be some sort of missing values will be there. There are some corrected values will be there. There will be some unnecessary data also will be there, so that we could reduce the redundancy. So, in order to make the data to be clean, why the data to be clean in this sense? Basically, there are certain type of values to be listed there. There are certain type of corrected values will be there. Then we cannot able to get the efficient amount of data. That's why we need to go for preparing upon the data. That's the third step. In fourth step, we have to explore the data. We have to explore the data. That is, what sort of patterns and what sort of trends that is prevailed with the data has to be identified. That is, in this particular fourth stage, that is exploration of the data, here all the insights are drawn and correlation between the variables are understood. And whatever the data that you are able to gather, that is going to be correlated with your particular input variables. What sort of data that you have gathered and how that data is going to be correlated with your particular input variables to find out the problems of the particular problem statement could be able to be explored here. That is, identifying the problem, going for the data gathering. After gathering the data, we have to clean up the data. Then we have to go for the exploration of the data analysis. That is, we are intended to find, or we are intended to draw the relations between the data gathered as well as the problem statement. And in the fifth step, we need to build a machine learning model. That is, here we are going to make utilization of the machine learning algorithms like the decision trees or linear regressions, or we could able to go for utilization of SPM classifiers or clustering. That we are making the problem, that we are making which model which is used for predicting of your particular problem to solution could be able to be sought out with this particular step. That is called as a fifth step, that we could able to take as a building a machine learning process. And at the sixth step, we could be able to evaluate. We have to go for the evaluation performance. That is, we need to evaluate how your particular machine learning algorithm is useful, how much of efficacy that you are getting, how much of attributes that you are making the efficiency of the system to be used in real world applications could be able to be sought out in model evaluation and optimization. In this particular step, there is a chance for refinement, there is a chance for replacement, or there is a chance for improvement of what we gathered in your particular data gathering, data exploration, and in the model. If there are any changes to be made, then you could be able to sort out on the past history or the past experiences. And at the seventh step, that is the final step of the machine learning, here you could be able to say that we can able to estimate how accuracy your system is, how efficiency that you are making the system to be used in real world applications, that we could able to make it utilized for the job market, that we could able to take as a predicted value. That is, this is the 7-step procedure that we could able to sort out a particular problem with the machine learning. This is about the basic process that we could able to sort out with the help of this particular machine learning process. And in this particular type of machine learning, you could able to sort out the three different type of the machine learning processes, like the supervised learning, unsupervised learning, as well as reinforcement learning. That is, what sort of data that you are taking, whether you are taking the labeled data or whether you are making the unlabeled data, and whether you are taking the past experiences to be considered in making of the data. On this particular type of thing, we have three different type of machine learning processes that we could able to say it as a supervised learning process, unsupervised learning process, as well as reinforcement learning process. Right, see here in this particular picture, you could able to see that this is called as a supervised learning. That is, whatever data that you are able to take. Here you could able to see about the labeled data. That is, each and every data is going to be assigned with a particular name. That we are able to take as a labeled data. Then you are making the utilization of the particular machine learning process. That is the data cleaning process. We are going to go for trends in the data. We can able to find out the help of EDAs, and we can able to go for utilization of your particular algorithms, and we could able to evaluate the model. And at the outset, you could able to find out which sort of classification that is actually occurring here. Right, see here at the input side, had evaluated to make the find outing of your Jerry image. And at the outset, at the output of the making refinement of your particular supervised learning, here you could able to find out the class is a Jerry class. That is, we could able to make the algorithms to be machined by making the labeling of the particular data. That sort of learning that you could able to say it as a supervised learning. The entire contrast of this particular supervised learning, that we could able to say it as a unsupervised learning. In this particular unsupervised learning, here you are not able to provide any sort of labeling to the images, or we are not going to give any sort of labeling to the data of what we gathered. And we can able to say that we are taking the unknown data, and this unknown data is going to be given to a particular machine learning process, and at the output you can able to label out the different categorizations. Right, see here at the output of the unsupervised classification or learning, you could able to see about the clusters, the outputs are the labeled outputs which could be able to set in terms of a clustering mechanism. That is, the similar groups are going to be made into one cluster, like the Jerry clusters as well as the Tom clusters. That is, they are making the clustering of the process in terms of the entire data without labeling it. That sort of classification, that we could able to say it as a unsupervised classification. And the third type of classification, that we could able to say it as a reinforcement learning. Reinforcement, the name itself specifies that reinforce, that is, enforceably we are making the system to be learned so that we can able to get the reward. That is, what we are making, what we are expecting as output, that has to be reinforced by the system with the help of certain agents. With the help of the certain agents, we will create the environment such that our predicted value, our output will be whatever that we are expecting could be able to be reinforced. That is, by force, we could able to get the output. That we can able to take as a reinforcement learning. Here, reinforcement learning, the basic objective of reinforcement learning is to get the reward. That is, the exact replica of what we are expecting has to be done at the output with the help of an agent. That we could able to take as a reinforcement learning. And this is the particular machine learning table or machine learning triangle, that there you could able to come across the supervised type of learning or unsupervised type of learning and reinforcement. As I said earlier, the supervised type of learning could be able to have a label data has to be given, and there is a direct feedback, and we could be able to predict the outcomes. Under the unsupervised learning, here no labels will be given, there will be no sort of feedback, and there are n number of hidden layers, and we have the hidden structures to make the clusters of the data. But as for in particular reinforcement is concerned, here we need to take the decision. That is, whether we are getting the exact expected output or not. Based on that, we are able to go for either reward of the system or the penalty of the system, and we could be able to learn different series of actions what is learned in the history. That is, based upon the past values, we could able to predict the future values, just like your weather forecasting. That we could able to say it as the particular reinforcement. And your particular machine solving or machine learning could able to solve certain type of problems, like it could able to utilize for regression solving algorithms or classification sort of algorithms, as well as clustering sort of algorithms. So basically, regression, this particular regression and classification and clustering are the basic entities of research in terms of various domains, like we could able to go for the mathematical terms, terminologies, or image processing, or we could able to go for the computer vision. And these we could able to say it as different problems that are going to be solved by the machine learning process. Here the regression is there, classification is there, and clustering is there. Basically, we could able to say that a regression is a supervised machine learning technique which is used to predict the continuous values. That is, if we need to make the values to be predicted continuously. For example, prediction of the stock market prices. That is, in sense like we could able to go for predicting of the stock values. That is, how the value is going to be raised or how the value is going to be degraded. That sort of a mechanism of machine learning could be able to be done with the help of a particular regression is concerned. And regarding to the classification is concerned, this particular is also one type of supervised learning where we could be able to compute the categorizations of the data. That is, the segregations of the data would be able to be come across in this particular classification is concerned. And when you can able to come across with the clustering, it is called as an unsupervised algorithm. Whereas for regression and classification, that we could able to take as a supervised learning, whereas for the clustering is there, that we could able to take as an unsupervised learning mechanism. For example, if you need to find the transactions which are fraudulent in nature or not, that we could able to say it with the help of a particular clustering mechanism. That is, these are the three different type of problems that we could be able to solve out or sort out with the help of your particular machine learning. As I quoted some examples here for regression, for solving of a regression problem, here you could able to see that to study the house sales data set and build a machine learning model that predicts the house pricing index. That is how the house rates and house sales could able to be occur. That we could able to take as a regression model. That is, we need to predict how the land value increases and how the land value decreases and how house values is going to be increased. That we could able to take as a regression problem. This we could able to sort out with the help of a machine learning process. And whereas for classification, that is whether we need to give a credit card to a particular bank person. That is, a particular user need a credit card, and the bank would able to go for utilization of a CIBIL score. That based on the CIBIL score, they could able to give a credit card to a person. That is, they need to go for the classification whether that particular person is eligible to get a credit card, or whether he is ineligible to get a whether he is ineligible not to get a credit card. That sort of classifications also we can able to make it to be excavated with the help of machine learning, as well as one sort of clustering problems like the clustering set of movies as either whether it is a good movie or average movie or below average movie or a worst movie. That we could able to make it the clustering of the movies based upon the social media data. That is, based on what sort of data that you are able to get, then we need to cluster the different sort of movies based on their performance levels, like whether it's a good movie or average movie or it's a semi-average movie. That and all things that we could able to come across in this machine learning process. And at the outset, we could see some advantages related to this particular machine learning. That is, it is making identifying trends. It makes very easily, and the intervention of the human, that is the utility of the workforce by the human is very less, and it's a continuous improvement process, and there are wide scopes of applications for machine learning. As everyone in need to automate the work, as everyone feels that when you are making a trip to a particular type of place or travel, then we feel that a small luggage would give you very more comfort. That is, making our baggage to be very less, then we could able to easily travel to a particular place is concerned. Like that, here also we could able to say that the reducing efforts of the human is by automating the work. That is, the efficiency of the system could be able to be increased. The order of mechanisms could be able by the humans could be able to be decreased.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. And the various applications regarding to this particular machine learning could be able to find out in medical diagnosis, or we could able to see it in self-driving cars, on traffic predictions, or speech processing, image recognition, and these are the various applications of machine learning. And basically, every student must have to be aware that this is the trending mechanism where we could able to automate the work, we could able to easy our work with the help of this machine learning. And I doubt it. I thank for this opportunity.
Thank you, Lakeshwari, for sharing the running topic in artificial intelligence and machine learning, various types of machine learning, some models, and the procedure to operate or to solve any problem, and various applications of machine learning. So thank you very much. And the students, you have any doubt, you can raise. I request the students, if you have any doubt. So what is the most popular programming language used in AI? So the student is asking.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Basically, as per student perspective is concerned, as you are well aware about the C programming or C++ or Python, we could able to go for it.
Yeah, Python.
Yes, sir.
So the Mamata, Python is the currently popular programming language. Why? Because so where we can find several libraries to solve, and also the platforms are available, TensorFlow and Keras. So you can choose
Java
the Python
is also
program.
popular language, no, sir?
No. That but the nowadays due to the advantage of libraries which are available free of cost. So the many of the machine learning experts are preferring Python. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, fine. So anybody? Okay. Thank you for all the faculty and the students so for supporting us, and so tomorrow again we'll start the session by 7 o'clock. I request all the students and faculty so assemble every day so that we can have a very good topics, okay, day to day. So thank you all. Thank you, Lakeshwari.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir,
Yes,
for the
yeah,
opportunity.
thank you. Sir, Arun sir and Kizar sir, please stay, sir, some more time. So remaining members, I request please leave the meet.